Good day to all of us today. By the way, I am the fourth reporter of Group 4. My topic was all about doing local and oral history. So, the history subjects and courses usually taught students in school are Philippine history, world history, and Asian history, all in broad manner. Little is known about the subdiscipline of local history. So, if we say local history, it is the study of the history in a geographically local content, and it often concentrates on the local community. So, local history study the history in a geographically local context. So, it focuses only to the local community. Then it incorporates cultural and social aspects of the history. It is not merely national history written in a small, but a study of past events in a given geographical, but one that is based on one variety of documentary evidence and placed in a comparative context that is both regional and national. Then why study and do local history? So such memory is important in forging national unity through identification with a common collective past. Local history serves as a balancer of these tendencies by showing the peculiarities in certain locales in particular nation, region, or continent. When studying local history can provide new and alternative interpretation. So, on the different aspects of the Philippine history, it also facilitates a historical narrative emanating from the people. Historians call this the history from below. So, local history is not just aimed at opposing the discourse in the national history, but it is also a tool of enriching the national narratives. Then, when doing local history is not an easy task, because despite the seemingly smaller scope of study, historians are often faced with challenges. For example, in locating sources for local and specific objects of study, then apparently sources on local history is so limited, so compared to the national subject. Then hence the important historical methodology to local history is oral. So then let's proceed to the oral history. What is oral history? Is important. It is important if there is a scarcity of written sources, historical documents, and materials evidences. This method uses oral accounts of historical subjects, witnesses, members of the communities, and the like. Oral history primarily relies on memory. So, when we say oral history, it uses the method of oral accounts of historical subjects like witnesses, members of the community. Then the oral history primarily relies on the memory of a person or the memory of a certain members in a local. Then the subject or the informant will recount his experiences to the researcher as he remembers it. So the oral history will let us say they will recall their past experiences to the researchers as he remembers it. So those experiences that he could remember, so he will recall it then as an informant. This includes the teachings that they learn from their ancestors or older members of the community. But there are some historians known as positive historian, which denounces the use of oral history as they only believe that history should be primarily based on written documents because as they see memory as something that is faulty and inaccurate. So, but there are some historians that they that are known to be a positivist historian, which denounces that oral history, uh, as they only believes that history should be primarily based on written documents, not orally, not um, by uh, by the uh, experiences from the past of the informant. By then it should be written documents. So they say that history should not rely on the oral history. It says that history should be in the written documents only because they see memory as something that is faulty and inaccurate. So sometimes they say that uh, our memory is something that is faulty and inaccurate. So sometimes it could not be accurate. So, however, one cannot discount the importance of oral history in writing the history underprivileged sectors and communities like the urban poor or indigenous people. Local and oral history are important endeavor in the development and enrichment in the discipline of the history. So, our conclusion is both local and oral history are very important in the development and enrichment of the discipline of the history. So, doing local and oral history, that is all. That is all, and thank you for listening, everyone.